discuss the last topic in the chapter of human reproduction, that is lactation. In NCERT, topic number 3.7, it is lactation. In the previous lecture, we discussed about parturition, childbirth. Now, in this lecture, we will discuss about lactation. What is lactation? It's a process of formation, secretion and ejection of the milk by the conceived mother, by the lactating mother, right? So, lactation means it is the process of formation, secretion, the process of formation, secretion and ejection of the milk. Ejection of milk by the mother is called lactation. Now, lactation, the release of the milk during lactation involves sensory stimuli, nervous stimuli, endocrine stimuli, emotional stimuli also. So, the release of the milk, release of milk involves how many signals? Means it involves 4 signals we are telling. One is sensory signal, other one is nervous stimuli. It involves sensory stimuli. When the baby starts sucking the nipple, that is sensory stimuli. The second one is nervous stimuli. When the baby starts sucking the nipple, then the sensory cells at the nipple get activated and they send the neural reflex to the mother pituitary. So, then the mother's pituitary starts secreting oxytocin, which contracts the mammary glands to release the milk. So, it involves sensory stimuli, it involves nervous stimuli and hormone is getting released, means it involves endocrine stimuli also. And it also involves emotional stimuli, the emotional bond between the mother and the child, that is also responsible for release of the milk. So, we can discuss lactation under milk process making, milk secretion and milk ejection. So, first we will talk about milk secretion, production, milk production and milk ejection we can tell. Okay. Now, what is that hormone which helps in production of the milk? Prolactin. From where is that hormone produced? From the anterior lobe of pituitary only, right? Prolactin, which is a peptide hormone. It helps in making the milk. Prolactin, it comes to the maternal mammary glands. Maternal mammary glands have alveoli. Alveoli are the sacs where milk is produced, right? So, these are the alveolar sacs. This is alveolar tubule and this is alveolar duct, right? So, the alveolar sacs are lined with epithelial cells. These epithelial cells, they respond to the prolactin. So, what is this? These are the epithelial cells of alveoli. So, they respond to the prolactin hormone. Alveolar cells will respond to prolactin hormone. Now, under the influence of prolactin, these alveolar cells will secrete milk. That milk is stored in the lumen of alveoli. Understood, children? So, under milk production, we tell that the milk producing hormone is prolactin. So, what is the milk producing hormone called? The milk producing hormone is called prolactin. When is the prolactin produced? So, after childbirth, what happens? Tell me. Placenta breaks down. When the placenta breaks down, placenta produces estrogen and progesterone. When placenta is not there, then the estrogen and progesterone levels will go low. After childbirth, placenta breaks down. When placenta is not there, estrogen and progesterone levels are low. Now, these low levels of estrogen and progesterone will activate anterior pituitary gland. Will activate the anterior pituitary gland to release a hormone called prolactin. And in such situations, prolactin will be released. Now, this prolactin comes to the mammary glands, comes to the alveolar sacs. It comes to the epithelial cells which are lining the alveolar sacs. Under that stimulus, the epithelial cells start secreting the milk. That milk gets stored inside the alveoli. Then, under the influence of oxytocin, the milk starts coming down. Understood? So, the process of making milk is called lactogenesis. Now, this prolactin, what it will do? It helps in lactogenesis. What is lactogenesis? It's the process of making milk. It is the process of making milk. Now, it's the process of making milk. Now, what is galactogenesis? Then let us see that also. Galactogenesis is a process of maintaining the continuous supply of milk production. Galactogenesis means it is the process of maintaining continuous supply of milk. That is called as galactogenesis. What are the hormones which help in milk production? Prolactin is a hormone which helps in milk production. What are the hormones which helps in galactogenesis, continuous production of the milk? Growth hormone is involved here. Thyroxine is involved here. Cortisol is involved here in galactogenesis. For galactogenesis, you can write growth hormone. Next one, we can write cortisol. We can tell growth hormone is involved, cortisol is involved, and thyroxine is also involved in galactogenesis. Understood, children? We finished the first phase of lactation, that is milk secretion or milk production. The next phase will be milk ejection. So what did we discuss here? Lactation means it's the process of making, secreting and ejecting the milk. Now, release of the milk involves many stimuli. It involves sensory stimuli, it involves nervous stimuli, it involves endocrine stimuli and emotional stimuli. Lactation can be discussed under two main side headings, milk secretion and milk ejection. Milk secretion is also called milk production. The hormone which helps in producing the milk is prolactin. Prolactin is secreted by the anterior pituitary. Now, what triggers the prolactin secretion means after childbirth, the placenta comes out. The placenta breaks down. Placenta is the hormone which produces progesterone. When the progesterone levels are low, it goes and triggers the anterior pituitary to produce prolactin. This prolactin goes and acts on the alveolar cells and it triggers lactogenesis. What is lactogenesis? Process of making the milk. Now, what is galactogenesis then? It is to continuously keep the milk production. What are the hormones which are responsible for galactogenesis? Growth hormone, cortisol and thyroxine. Take a screenshot, then we'll talk about milk ejection then. Right. Now, what is the second step we need to discuss? It is called as milk ejection. For milk production, prolactin is required. Then for milk ejection, oxytocin is required, which is released by the posterior pituitary gland, right? We discussed oxytocin is required for childbirth also. Now, the second step is milk ejection. The hormone which is responsible for milk ejection is released by the posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary hormone. What is that? Oxytocin. It helps in milk release. This helps in milk release. That comes under milk ejection. Now, what is the response? The response is the suckling response by the newborn fetus. When the baby starts sucking the nipple, right? So, the sensory cells get activated. Now, these sensory cells send the reflex to pituitary. The sensory cells send reflex to pituitary. Then the pituitary starts releasing oxytocin. This oxytocin comes and acts on the mammary glands, mammary muscles, contract the mammary muscles. This oxytocin, it contracts mammary muscles. It contracts mammary glands. Then the milk ejects out. The first milk which is released by the mother is called colostrum. So we tell that the first milk which is released by mother is colostrum. It's very important, right? This colostrum is the first milk which is thick, which is pale yellow in color. It's rich of antibodies. The first milk what the child takes from the mother is called colostrum. It's a thick milk. It's a pale yellow colored milk. It is rich in several antibodies. Particularly, which antibody? IgA, which is a secretory antibody. The colostrum contains several antibodies, but in main case, it is IgA antibody. Mother, natural source providing immunity to the newborn child through her milk is called as natural passive immunity. If you are supplying ready-made antibodies, it is called passive immunity, but from a natural source. So this comes under which type of immunity, children? Natural passive immunity. This process is called as natural passive immunity. Okay. Now, next one, the regular milk. This colostrum is for 1 or 2 days only, right? Then the next milk, what the mother gives is regular milk. What are the components of the regular milk of the mother? So, it contains water. It is diluted when compared to the outside cow's milk, buffalo milk or the packeted milk. So, it contains more of water, but it is rich in minerals. It's rich in minerals. The protein which is present in the mother's milk is casein. The carbohydrate which is present in the mother's milk is lactose. Mother's milk is more sweeter when compared to the outside milk. Means the lactose content will be high. The lactose content is high, and the fat content in the mother's milk is less in the form of oil droplets. So the regular milk, mother's milk, is little diluted. It is diluted. It contains water, maximum proportion. It contains minerals. It contains a protein, milk protein called casein, milk sugar called lactose. Fat content is less in the form of oil droplets. So, carbohydrate, protein, fat, minerals, everything is there. So, mother's milk can be considered as a complete food for the newborn child. So, that's why we call it as a complete food for the newborn child. Till 6 months, the child depends completely on the mother's milk only as a whole source of nutrition. So, even the doctors advise the mother to give breastfeeding, which is good for the mother also, which is good for the child also. For a healthy child, mother's milk is very important to protect the mother also from breast cancers, to protect the child also from various infections. Bottles and all, the feeding bottles and all will easily get infected, whereas mother's milk, since it has antibodies and all, and again it is human milk, right, human specific milk, so no side effects, no allergies and all, so the baby's growth will be healthy. Again, if we are giving an outside formulated milk, so the baby might not get the required dietary allowances. We call them as, they might not get recommended dietary allowances. They might suffer from protein calorie malnutrition like kwashiorkor and marasmus. So the child, if is not properly given mother's milk, they might suffer from protein calorie malnutrition like kwashiorkor and marasmus, because the bottled formulated milk will not have the same proportions what mother's milk have, and the RDA values, recommended dietary allowances values, will not be met. So in that case also it is good for the child to feed on the mother's milk, and in terms of preventing breast cancers also, in terms of controlling the hormones also, in terms of contraception also, lactation plays an important role that we can discuss in the next chapter. Hope you understood everything related to lactation. So we divided lactation into secretion and ejection. Under secretion, the main hormone is prolactin. Under ejection, the main hormone is oxytocin. And then we discussed what is lactogenesis, what is galactogenesis. We also discussed the significance of breastfeeding. We also discussed what antibody is rich in the colostrum, which is very much good to protect the baby as soon as they are born, because their immunity starts after few months. So this antibody from the mother provides natural passive immunity. So we finish this chapter. See you soon with the next chapter. If you like the content, like, subscribe and share to my channel. Thank you.